everyone, welcome back to the channel, Jamie Friend Colors. My name is Jamie. Welcome. I'm excited to have you here. So I have been working on some backgrounds. I don't know, just playing with my book here of, I have some that I've finished, but Pristine Glorious ink. Ooh. So I have a couple of backgrounds here with ones that are finished, but then I've also been playing in here with some that I haven't finished. Let's see, like this baby wolf or whatever he is, kitty, fox, I don't know, I'm not sure what he is, but he's cute. And then there's a couple others. Oh, here's another one. This one is with ink. So those two were with ink. And you see, like, the ink is hard because I can't erase it, so it goes right over the top of whatever, and then I'm gonna have to color over the top of the ink. So I wanted to try something and see if it works. I don't know if it's gonna work or not. Here's one with Pan Pastel it's blue, beautiful. Sorry about the glare. I don't want to take all these out of the pages. And I think there was one more with Pan Pastel. Oh yes, this one also with Pan Pastel. So the Pan Pastel is great because you can erase if it goes somewhere you don't want it to. But the ink, or the Distress Oxides that I was using, they're so much more vibrant that I really want to see if I can make this work. So what I've done is I've used a liquid Friskit that you use with watercolors, and I've put it on here, and it has dried. That's what all this yellow shiny stuff is. And this is not watercolor paper, so it has warped a little bit. And I want to see if I can put the Distress Oxides on over the Friskit and just see if we can keep it off of where we don't want it. So that's what I'm gonna try. And I ripped my thing. I'm so disappointed. Okay, so, oh well. So we have Mustard Seed, and we have Mermaid Lagoon, and I have two of these handy dandy blenders. So we're gonna use those. So I have this idea. Let's see if we can make it work. So we'll ink up the yellow first, the mustard seed. And the reason I think maybe it won't work is that we're gonna have to rub it, and then the Friskit might come off. So that's what I'm concerned about. So we're gonna rub really lightly and see, but we have to also get it down in there. So I don't know, we'll see if I can get this to work. So, put down the mustard seed, get it down in those crevices, because you've got like these areas down in between the Friskit. It's not rubbing off too bad here yet. I'm trying to be gentle and build up my color little by little so that we have something, so that we don't pull the Friskit off. So my yellow has like, and I don't know why, if it means like that it's an older pad or the ink is separate, I don't know. If somebody knows why it has that, let me know, because I'm kind of new to these. And I bought them at Michael's, but who knows how long they've been sitting there on the shelf. So maybe it's old, I don't know. It's not old to me. And I'm still getting color, so That's good. Okay, I'm gonna take this yellow all the way to the edge. I wanna pull it out as far as these go. Oh, sorry that it gets all blurry. Okay. Okay, I like that. And it didn't pull the frisket off, so that's exciting. Yeah, that's exciting. Okay, let's take the Blue Lagoon. See, this one doesn't have that stuff on it. I don't know. All right, so then I want to come, and I should have filled in that whole bubble, but I didn't. So I'm going to be careful. Kind of blend the two together. We'll go back over it with some mustard. Okay. Sorry, I'm getting text. I got a text message from my son's caseworker with post-adopt, so they're trying to get him a behavioralist to work with him so maybe he can do better at school, though he did awesome yesterday, so here's hoping that he'll do awesome again today. Okay, so I kind of done that. I think I might have gotten it on the flower there and a little on her hair. I should have brought the frisket in a little more, but live and learn. It's a beautiful blue color. I do like it. It does make a pretty mix of green up there. Okay, so here it is done. I have the frisket. I did get some blue there. I should have filled in the bubbles all the way with the frisket. That was a mistake of mine. So we'll leave that for a second and then we'll take the frisket off in a minute. So I did another one because I was just playing with backgrounds, right? And I didn't know if the oxides would work. So I thought, well, we could do some with watercolor, right? And this is not watercolor paper. So yeah, it could be a hot mess. So I have some watercolors. Let's just kind of put come on, there we go. Let's like wet this down here and we'll just drop in some watercolor. So like I said, this is not watercolor paper, so it may buckle horribly, who knows, but we will see. I guess we'll find out. Ooh, I believe this is Prussian blue. Beautiful color. Kind of just, because we can go right over the top of that frisket. That's why it's there. Okay. It's fun to play with the backgrounds, and it's fun to do this with stuff like PDFs that you get off of Etsy, because if you do something that you absolutely hate, you can just print another one. So yeah, if this buckles too much or we decide that watercolor background is just not for us, then we can always just print another one, which is awesome. I want to put in some of this turquoise even into the Prussian. Let's see. I love the mix of those colors. That's really pretty, like having them next to each other. Kind of let them flow around and do their thing. I'm using a lot of water, which is not good for this paper, so we might have a hot mess when we're done, but we'll deal with that if we need to. Kind of let it okay, so let's put in a little more Prussian right up next to some of this stuff. Let's see. Yeah, just like that. Maybe some kind of up here. And then we will bring in that turquoise again. So I'm gonna like put some water down around it where I want it to go. And then we'll put in some of that and kind of let it flow around. This paper is warping, just so you know, like, if that scares you, this may not be for you. I kind of want, let's see, I want some more of the Prussian in here. I kind of want it to mix with the, yeah, there we go. Mix with the turquoise. Ooh, that was dark and pretty, wasn't it? Let's pull that around. Ooh, that got a lot darker. Okay. Used more pigment that time. We'll kind of see if we can kind of pull it around. Okay. I'm kind of tilting my paper and stuff around to move the color around so that I'm not touching the paper too much with the paintbrush because I don't want the paper to peel. So that's why I'm using I'm like picking it up and moving it around to move the pigment a lot. So that kind of once I stick the pigment down, I'm not really trying not to touch the paper too much. I mean, I am a little bit, but if I can, but the paper's in a fragile state because it's wet. So. And I just want you to kind of fade out. There we go. There we go. All right, we will let that dry and then we'll pull the Frisket off. But we want the paper to be dry before we do that. So we'll put that over here to dry. And in the meantime, let's take the Frisket off of this one. So I'm just gonna start here and I'm hoping that I haven't left this Frisket on for too long because you're not supposed to leave it on for a long time. It needs to be dry, but you don't wanna leave it on for days. And I did put this on last night because I just don't have a ton of time, so. You can use your fingers. You can put your finger in like a plastic bag and use that. You can use a kneadable eraser. So it looks like it's pulling up some of the the printer ink, because if you can see, it's like gotten a little bit lighter, but I can still see it. I'm not too upset about that. It looks like that yellow may have gone through the Frisket onto the paper. So that's interesting. I didn't think of that being an option, but may have done. Or I may have yellow on my finger. Maybe I'll move to a different finger. There we go. Because see, like that finger's got, I think that's probably why. So I gotta watch that. I think there's also like an actual like tool or Frisket picker-upper that they use, but I don't have one. So we're just using our fingers. And you can feel if the Frisket's there, so if you're not sure if you've picked it up, you can feel it. My hand is getting quite inky though. So I'm trying to be careful because the whole point was to not get the Friskit or not get the ink where I didn't want it. And now I'm kind of getting ink where I don't want it just because of I'm using my fingers. But I think if I changed to using an eraser or something, I think it would have the same problem. The ink would get on the eraser and then transfer it. So I'm not sure that it would help either. Yeah. So overall, it did work. We got a few spots here where we didn't cover it well enough, and it did take off some of the computer printing. So that's interesting. And the Friskit itself did warp the paper a little bit. So, I mean, I guess you decide if this is something you want to do, but I wanted to try it because I just wondered. I do really love how we have these, come on, camera, come on. How we really have like this really white in the yellow. I think it's really pretty. And there's really not a ton of like really dark ink on her anywhere that's gonna be hard to cover up. So I think overall I'm happy with it, but I did learn a few things. Okay, so I took all the Friskit off of this, and I knew that it would keep the watercolor away, so I knew it would work on that. It also did lift a little bit of the ink, so that is a cautionary tip. Like, that's something you have to keep in mind if you're going to use something that you've computer printed. I have a laser printer, right? That has cartridges, or toner rather than cartridges. Anyways, I will link the printer I have and the paper I'm using, which is Nina White Bristol Vellum, something like that. I will link all of that down in the description box for you. So this is how it has turned out. It is warped, but not too bad, not to where I can't flatten this out. Like, I could iron this or press it under some books and it will be fine. But if that is something that just freaks you out, then, you know, don't use watercolor on cardstock. I did want to say a couple of things about the Friskit. So it says there's a couple of things. You don't want to add Friskit to wet paper. And I don't think you want to heat it. That's why I let this air dry. I don't see it on here, but I don't think you'd want to heat it. So I would let it air dry and then pull it up. Oh, and then it is really like plasticky. So do you see how like even in the lid, it's like plasticky and gooey? So you do not want to use a paintbrush to apply this stuff. You could use like the back. You want to use something that's non-porous, it doesn't matter that it's going to get goopy and gluey. I mean, this is going to ruin a paintbrush. So do not use a paintbrush unless that paintbrush is now only a Friskit paintbrush. What I actually used to apply this, and I will show you a little bit of how to apply it in a watercolor book. This is a Christy Rice, The Art for Joy's Sake journal, and it is watercolor paper. So, let's see, I'll just pick a page here. Okay, and we'll apply some Friskit. I actually use a glass, what are these called? A glass nib, a glass brush? I have no idea. A glass, I will link it. I will link everything, I promise. Let's see. I think it's would be like a dip pen, probably. Glass dip pen, yes. Yeah, okay, so a glass dip pen, and these are awesome with ink as well. I am in love with this pencil, but it works, or this dip pen, it works wonderful with my Friskit because it gets on there, but then once it dries, you can just pull it right up. So you just dip it in the bottle, and then, and just put it where you want it on your paper. You want it thick enough that it will cover, because any spot that's left will get will get ink on it or get paint on it. And that's the point, is to keep your paint from covering that spot. Okay. So then we could just come in here with a background color and color it in and not have to worry about, oh, I don't want that branch to get color. All right, so that's kind of what they use it for. And I think the glass dip pen works really well. But you could also use a silicone brush. You could use the back of a paintbrush. You could use an old paintbrush that you have no love for anymore. But, just realize that it's like glue or plastic, and you're going to, if it's porous, it's gonna get in there. So just know that, okay? So I can just kind of let that dry, and then I can peel it right off, no problem. I was seeing if I have a silicone brush here somewhere close by. Of course I don't, because I want one right here. It's not here. Like, here's the back of a paintbrush, an old paintbrush. Like, you could use that. Like, you don't have to get something fancy. I think they even make a pen for Friskit, but I've never bought it or gotten anything like it. So you can use that, just the back of a paintbrush. Probably not your favorite paintbrush, but So this is a silicone brush, and that would work as well. So there's lots of things you can use. So just remember, do not use your nice brush, because you have other options. You probably even have something that's laying around not too far from your desk. So don't get lazy on this one and use your favorite watercolor brush that's sitting right there. Don't do it. All right. So you just apply it, then let it dry, and then paint. And yeah, then peel it off. So that's it for today's video. I hope you guys found this useful, informative. I did. I'm excited. I do like using it with the inks quite a bit, actually. There's a few things I would do different, but yeah, I really like it. And and I'll probably do it again. So yes, I hope you guys have an awesome weekend, that you find time to relax, to take some deep breaths, to enjoy yourself, and maybe throw some color around. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.